In this edition of RPP News, serial killer Denya denied parole. Mornington Mayor Steve Holland pushes back against bin criticism. And the history behind the Sorrento succession. Hello, I'm Catie Sharp. Welcome to the latest edition of RPP News, bringing you stories from across Frankston and the Mornington Peninsula. Frankston serial killer Paul Denya has been denied parole by the Adult Parole Board. In 1993, Denya was sentenced to life with a non-parole period of 30 years for the murders of student Elizabeth Ann Mary Stevens, Seaford mother Debbie Freem, and schoolgirl Natalie Russell. Natalie Russell's father, Brian, has told the Herald Sun it was a tremendous relief to know Denya would be staying behind bars. Mayor of the Mornington Peninsula Council, Steve Holland, has defended the Shire's decision to raise waste services prices. This week, Council raised charges by $45 to $446 per annum, a move that has attracted considerable media attention and criticism. Mayor Holland says Council thought long and hard about the increase, but says by adding extra services, there's a savings for ratepayers.
We've increased the tip vouchers from 3 to 4. We're going to double the number of green waste days. We're going to make individual disposal of things like fridges and mattresses and tyres, which you regularly see dumped everywhere. We're going to make that free to take those to the tip. And we're also going to increase compliance on illegal dumping. Probably the most important one, which has been very well received in the community, especially from those doing it tough with the cost of living at the moment, is we're going to extend the tip vouchers, the 4 tip vouchers, to renters as well. But based on community demand and community feedback, councils decide that these ones are the most worthwhile, and we think it represents good value.
The Bunerong Land Council has been caught up in a dispute over past financial management. The Age newspaper is reporting that a forensic accounting team has been examining documents from the Bunerong Land Council. The paper has named 2 former employees whom it reports are involved in a dispute over the running of the organisation. Incoming Bunerong Land Council Chief Executive Jason King told the paper he was aware of the allegations but would not comment as investigations are ongoing and that the matter predates his time at the council. The Mornington Shire Council went through its final budget phase last Tuesday night ahead of tabling a document next month. Councillors interrogated financial officers led by Bull to Oz and heard CEO John Baker assure that despite tough economic conditions, the Mornington Shire is in sound financial shape.
Certainly on the rates, yes, we're the 5th lowest in Victoria, so that's worth noting as far as what we're actually doing at the moment. People are paying significantly higher rates in other local authorities, but yes, there are a significant range of pressures on the council at the moment, particularly around rate capping, climate, the emergencies that impacted our community last year. All of those things need to be built into a sustainable budget going forward, where if we continue to remain a relatively low borrowing, relatively low charging council, we're going to be able to cope with those in a more sustainable way. Thank you. In the last year, we've seen costs on certain projects rise by between 20 and 30% for a variety of different reasons, which are well known in the sector. As a consequence, officers have spent a considerable amount of time looking at the capital programme and making sure that it is sustainable. As you know, we've had a number of sessions with councillors where we've looked in some detail at the long-term financial plan, making sure that both our asset base, our existing asset base and our future asset base is considered in light of those types of pressures. Do we believe that the budget that is in front of council for their consideration, do we believe that that is sustainable? Officers do.
Battle lines are being drawn after reports that the BP on Marine Drive at Safety Beach is again the subject of a planning application. Locals and the Mornington Shire opposed any changes at the site 3 years ago. The Herald Sun reporting this time it's a $6 million development with plans for a revamped BP service station and convenience restaurant. Locals were bitterly opposed to the idea last time, with the matter eventually ending up at VCAT. Sorrento residents have raised concerns about the planned redevelopment of the Athenaeum Cinema building. Local Marilyn Cunnington says although the heritage-listed building is preserved, its communal function will be lost as it's converted to a retail space.
It's part of Sorrento, and we've lost so much of Sorrento in terms of I hate the word, but heritage in iconic buildings. I think we need to be really careful of what's going to happen there. The other issue is, of course, that we're going to lose our cinema. And I read the 47-page report, which was a very long read. In that, it said the Sorrento and Portsea Blairgowrie people were happy to go to Rosebud. No one asked us. No one knows about that statement. No one knows where that came from.
Frankston councillor Chris Bolam has congratulated his colleagues on unanimously supporting a motion to return the issue of parking permits to the old system. As of July the 1st, council will send 2 permits to eligible ratepayers rather than have them apply.
So essentially what this resolution proposes is that we go back to the old model of physical foreshore permits. I believe that future foreshore permits will be issued with the rates notices per annum, which is the way it used to be. It seems to be the most popular way for people to receive their foreshore permits. And this is another situation where we've gone out and we've asked the public and they've told us what they want and we've listened. So very happy to recommend the officer recommendation.
The Herald Sun is reporting that education authorities have directed Dromana College to cut its student population by 600 students. According to the paper, the department wants to reduce out-of-zone students and will spend $1 million to remove temporary classrooms, further tightening the student intake. Critics claim the measures will stress the Dromana student cohort and force displaced students to spend half an hour to reach alternate schools. A group of Sorrento traders threatening to secede from the Mornington Peninsula are not advocating anything new. Clive Smith of the Nepean Historical Society says the idea goes back to the earliest days of white settlement, and just as today was prompted by a sense of injustice, with the locals claiming rates were too high and returns too low.
It was first mooted in the late 1800s by one of the senior or noted famous entrepreneurs down here, one George Coppin, who I believe at the time suggested that they set up a separate shire down the pointy end here, effectively of Nepean. And then again, I think it was raised in the middle of the 20th century.
With winter drawing in, the conservation regulator is reminding residents to check firewood sources. According to MP News, illegally sourced firewood can attract charges and infringement notices and fines. Peninsula residents are being reminded to source wood responsibly, beware of social media sites, roadside stalls and word-of-mouth offers, understand the rules of firewood collection and stay out of parks and reserves. And there was a lucky escape for a mother and 2 children at Mount Martha on Saturday afternoon. Police allege an elderly woman driver put her car in drive and not reverse and panicked. The vehicle accelerated forward, mounted the footpath, drove through a bollard, hit a newsagent awning, glanced a park bench, and came to a halt at the brick wall in front of the Beach Box fish and chips shop, where the mother and 2 children were sitting. No one was hurt. 3 fire trucks plus police and SES were in attendance. And now to Michael Voss with this week's Man of the Match.
With the man we've given the best on ground to this afternoon, and Darcy Hope. And Darcy, that second half in particular by yourself probably was a very big reason why your side got over the line. You got your hands on the ball a number of times and managed to kick a couple of snags.
Yeah, it took me a while. The first half was a bit more slow. I actually ended up going in the ruck just to get a touch, to be honest. But going in at half time, we knew we weren't playing the footy we wanted to. We just readjusted, went in and come out, and it was almost night and day difference in the end.
It was a game that you guys would sort of get out in front, some of them would come back, they'd challenge you, you'd kick 2 or 3 goals, they'd challenge you again. You're a good team.
Yeah, that's a testament to how good they are. We know no matter where they are, how far they're down, they're always going to come back, and they don't give up. We saw with 5 minutes left in the game, it was probably over, that they still took the game on and, treated it like the win was still there. So that's a credit to them.
And you guys sort of a few multiple goal scorers. Sam Glenn got a couple. You kicked 2 or 3. Matt Robinson kicked 3. You're sharing the goals around at the moment, and not kicking the huge scores, but looking at the way your defence is going at the moment, like your defence is doing a magnificent job for your side. You're not kicking the big scores, but you're on top, you're winning, but you're keeping sides down to some really good defensive efforts.
Yeah, for sure. So with the forwards as well, after last year, we went into the pre-season. We knew we might have been a little bit predictable at times with myself and Riley Darcy up forward. So we readjusted over the off-season, and we've moved Matt Robinson, who was actually a defender all last year, up forward, and it's paid dividends. And in terms of the backs, they do their job every week. There's no one superstar that stands out. They're just a good collective of 7 hard-working blokes, and the scoreline shows, you know.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time, Darcy, and enjoy the meat train. We'll get the coach in to have a quick chat to him.
Yep.
And say thank you, and we'll get Luke Forsyth in to have a chat as well.
Daniel Darcy. Bossy, hello, mate.
Yeah, good. So, got the winning coach in Luke Forsyth, and Luke, look, you guys, you must be very happy. Like I mentioned to Darcy there about your defensive efforts. Your defence is going along very, very well at the moment. You're keeping sides down, not kicking the huge scores, but you're getting the job done week in, week out at the moment. It must be very, very happy with the way things started this season.
Yeah, definitely, Bossy. Like we've got a good forward line, but we feel that our offence will look after itself as the season goes on. We put a fair bit of time over the summer into our defensive structures, and I think Sammy had 50 inside 50s today, and we kept them to 7 marks inside 50. So the backs are just playing their role. We've got 7 or 8 role players down there that just get a job done each week. They're not flashy, they're not superstars, but they just want to play their role for the team. So it's exciting.
Is it probably fair to say that this competition, Division 2's taken a lot more interest in Division 1? Division 1 certainly got interest, but this competition is so tight, and you guys are out on top, and you're a game clear on top, but if you don't come with the right attitude, I mentioned this to Todd Gardner from Chelsea last week after the game, if you don't come with the right attitude, you will end up on the wrong result, or wrong side of the result. So you've got to come with the right attitude week in, week out in this competition, or you will be beaten.
Absolutely. Like we looked at the month that we've just come out of as a really tough month. We had Chelsea, Edith Vale, Devon and Sammy, and we rate all 4 of those sides. So we were pretty honest with ourselves that we thought if we can get out of that 3-1, we're pretty happy, and ticked a lot of boxes. To come out of it 4-0 with probably not playing our best footy, it's exciting. But the good thing is you get a challenge each week. Like no matter who you're coming up against, you've got to be up. If you're 5% off, it's not good enough. Like we've seen, there's a couple of results that have surprised a few people. But if you're not up and bring your A game, you get found out pretty quick.
And obviously, with Langwarrin no longer in the competition, they're up in Division 1. And they're much overdue after winning the flag last year, and would have gone up in 2021, but that season never completed. But it just throws a blanket over so many teams, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Langy with a yardstick last year, and it was probably a very predictable competition where you knew you were going to Langy, you had your work cut out for you. But now it doesn't matter. You look at the fixture and you try and predict the result. There's always 2 or 3 that you get wrong. So I'd hate to be a tipster in our competition, but yeah, it's good for footy. Like it's good for the competition where the supporters are rocking up each week, giving their side a chance, which is exactly what you want.
Well, congratulations, and 5.5 wins to start the season out of 6. You're on top of the ladder. Life's good. Enjoy tonight, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, Fossey. Cheers, mate. All the best.
After the break, we have Bianca with the coming week's weather report.
Everyone knows Australia has 4 big banks, but the 5th biggest retail bank is snapping at their heels. It's a bank that's been around for over 160 years, can be found in over 500 locations nationwide, looks after over 1.8 million customers, and is regularly voted one of the most trusted brands out of all the thousands of brands in Australia. Who is this fantastic number 5? Yep, it's Bendigo Bank. The better big bank.
Established in 1988, Progress Signs has been servicing the local community for 30 years. Located on the Mornington Peninsula, they are the #1 destination for all your signage needs, specialising in a variety of signage from vehicles to shop fronts, occasional and corporate events, short-term, long-term and everything in between. If it's signs you need, be it large or small, Progress Signs is the place to call. Available 24/7 at progress-signs.com.au or call the team on 5975 9188. Thinking signs? Think Progress Signs, a station sponsor.
Battery World now open in Mornington.
We know batteries. We know our 75 D23Ls from our DIN 65 LHs. And we know which is best for you. We have the range and a spark no one else can match because we live and breathe batteries. Those beautiful boxes and cylinders that power our lives and our passions. That's why we're the batteryologists. We're Battery World.
Battery World Shop 1, 43 Mornington Tire Road, Mornington.
Welcome back. Now to Bianca for this week's weather report.
Hello, I'm Bianca and welcome to this week's RPP weather update. Well, that colder weather has certainly settled in, but will it stay cold? Let's dive in and find out. Today, Sunday, Mother's Day, the 14th of May, should bring us a mostly sunny day with some cloudy periods. We should reach a low of 6 and a high of 19. Monday should see much the same as Sunday. We can expect a low of 7 and a top of 20. Tuesday will be cloudy with the possibility of some showers over the peninsula. We are expecting a top of 17 and a low of 9. Wednesday sees this trend continue with a low of 8 and a high of 15. Thursday sees the cloud cover continue with some light rain throughout the day. We should reach a high of 15 and a low of 7. Friday brings us a mostly cloudy day with intervals of rain. We can expect a top of 13 and a chilly low of 3. And finally, Saturday will bring us a mostly cloudy day. We should reach a high of 13 and a chilly low of 4. Well, that's all for this week. Try to stay warm and I will see you next week with another RPP weather update.
And now over to our surf guru Muzz with this week's surf report.
Hey, it's Muzz back with this week's Mornington Peninsula surf report. So finally the wind's gone back to the north quarter for pretty much the first time since Saturday, I would suggest, or even earlier actually. So yeah, been a run of onshore, but we have had swell, so there's been some, average waves in Western Port, just small, not much elsewhere around. It's been a fairly sloppy swell, but the next 2 days look okay because the wind has gone back around to that north today, then head into northwest, and same with Saturday before we get a front by the looks of it, or a wind change. So then it's going to go back to a weird sort of southeast for this time of year for a couple of days, and then later in the week go back offshore again. But there is a big high moving in, but there is a front behind it, so that's pushing along, so it'll squeeze it pretty quickly. But as far as surf goes, Friday looks all right. There's a drop in swell, so there'll probably be waves on the beaches and small waves on the reefs in Flinders and Western Port. And then come Saturday, we're actually going to have, even though the wind's going to go around to the east-southeast, we're actually going to have a fairly solid push in the swell with a good interval. So there might be some fairly decent waves fighting against the wind in Western Port, so it might be 3 foot, could be all right, and then it sort of fades back out again until Tuesday. But it looks like there'll be a few mornings where it might sort of be offshore, but it won't be until Wednesday next week, and then the swell's going to remain moderate, not big, just moderate. So it's sort of one of those classic halfway between everything. There'll be small waves in Western Port, probably too big on the beaches. So so it's what it is, how it is living on the peninsula sometimes. But you will get wet, so enjoy the next couple of days, and hopefully you'll get in the water. See ya.
And that's all from our team here at RPP News, serving the community with stories that matter to you. Keep watching and do tell your friends. Bringing you the news from coast to coast across Frankston and the Mornington Peninsula. I'm Catie Sharp. See you for the next edition.